All right, everybody, I have Coach coming in.
Hey, Coach, we'll get started with questions from Kent. Kent, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about limiting Sills minutes. No, just go. No, I mean, just as a kind of as a basketball fan, can you just talk about the front court battle that
Yeah.
night? It was amazing, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was obviously we know that's Vegas's identity, and we've kind of found it to be our identity, and I think we're just we're doing a really good job being more persistent. Kent, what we talked about, for your story, just being able to answer and get the ball where we want to get the ball, and be persistent about it. And we wanted to make them to have to defend the same way that we felt like we were going to have to defend at the other end. And I thought we had some success, and 54 points in the paint against these guys, pretty darn impressive for our front court.
Jace, go ahead.
Hey, Cheryl, did the veteran presence of Leja kind of
froze up for that whole answer?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kent.
No, sorry. No, I was playing.
The veteran presence of Leja kind of flashed itself again, especially in that overtime, both with the buckets she got, and even like the last possession, knowing to milk every second off that shot clock before taking that.
I told her, great. She held it long enough, and the trajectory was high enough that some time off the clock. But Leja understood that she would be the number 3 scorer for us. We talked to Leja about some things in pick and roll, which they're very, very good at. Lay is very, very good in the pick and roll. And we talked about, what their reads would be. And Leja just has full understanding of that. And we needed it. I thought that, as the game wore on and, late in the fourth, we weren't getting calls. We were getting the ball inside. We weren't getting calls. They were getting every single call. So there was a real imbalance as to what was happening when we were throwing it inside. And we just talked to Leja about, right now you're going to have to step up, and we need someone else to be able to score. It can't just be all Fee and Sill. And so she recognized that. And in the timeout, she was talking about, we got to play to win right now. And we needed to be aggressive and take what they were giving us and not be, stagnant about trying to force it somewhere. So I thought, that recognition was very good by Leja.
Jack, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you said pregame the challenge you're most looking forward to kind of seeing your team go up with was holding Vegas under that 91 mark, and you guys did that in OT. What stood out to you the most about your team's performance on the defensive end tonight?
The second half. I thought our second half was significantly better than the first half. The first half, we didn't get anything done. We were trying to get done. They did everything they wanted to do, got the ball where they wanted it. They were easy touches. We showed them some things at halftime, and we were significantly better in the second half. And if not for free throws, we might have reached our goal, in regulation in terms of the points that we felt like we could hold them to if we did some things well. But we needed to keep them off the foul line. We couldn't get that done. They seem to be able to get, every whistle. They just have a knack about them. Maybe it's their coach. I don't know. But they have a knack about them to get to the foul line. So you have to battle that when you play Vegas. We knew that. We felt like we were in position, especially until the end of that fourth quarter, like the last 5, 6, 7 minutes. All they were shooting was free throws. They weren't getting field goals. It was all free throws. We actually had a spot where we were out free throwing them. But they quickly reversed that, and they outshot us by 10. Like I said, we couldn't get a call. I thought there were some fouls on the interior that went uncalled. And so I'm sure if the officials saw that, they probably would agree. But at the end of the day, we tell our players, regardless of what's, the calls are, there's not an asterisk next to any losses that you take, next to any L's. Well, the referees weren't that good that night. There's no asterisk next to it. You got to win anyway.
And then going off of that, in that third quarter, it seemed like Fee and Jess Shepard both played very well against Asia tonight. What did you see from them on the defensive end that was working really well when they got matched up with Asia?
I did to really, go back and look at the video. Katie Smith knows this team really well. Obviously, K-Mac knows this team really well. Have your defense in front of you in the second half. You're able to communicate a lot of things about what the action's about to come. I thought we were ready for it. Jess rebounded the ball in limited minutes that she had, both ends. And then we saw Jess's ability to pass the ball, really came out. And that's what I wanted her to do. I said, play to your identity. That's your identity. Those extra possessions and passing the ball. But I thought Jess's minutes were vital. And yeah, I mean, obviously both teams, had some good play off their benches. They had, obviously they had a lot more scoring than what we did, but we survived it anyway.
We'll go Kent and then Pat. Kent, go ahead.
You talk, so over the last, I think 3-11, you guys didn't score and they had the momentum into overtime, it appeared. How did you kind of clear the decks in between the way the fourth quarter ended and the way the overtime began? Because it kind of looked like a different team offensively right out of the gate in the overtime.
Yeah, we talked about, and they could feel it. We really, while we were persistent, we probably were, it was grinding us to a halt. They knew, where we wanted the ball, same thing that we know at the other end. So I thought it was difficult for both teams to kind of get what they really wanted on initial stuff. And so we wanted to open things up a little bit. And we said, we can't play like this. We can't play where we're forcing it. We can't play where people think that they can't shoot. We needed to, get the floor spaced a little bit. And, we needed multiple people to be involved in plays. I thought one play that stood out that kind of epitomized what we were looking for is when we threw to Dantas in the corner and she went to shoot it and Wilson left her feet and Dantas put the ball on the floor and penetrated and kicked out for an open player. Fee didn't make the shot, but that's how we wanted to start playing. You can still throw the ball on the inside at some point because Sill's always going to ask for the ball. Fee is always going to position herself, but we just wanted to move a little bit more. I thought we had, we put him a little more pick and roll in the quarter, and that got Leja involved. So we had more than just those two players involved, which I thought was important.
Thank you.
We'll go two more. We'll go Pat and then Cindy. Pat, go ahead.
Yeah, Cheryl, in a lot of dead ball situations, Leja was doing a lot of talking, a lot of directing people, a lot of explaining stuff. She hasn't really been here all that long. How does she get that kind of understanding and that kind of confidence in so short a time?
Leja's been here long enough. We've sort of, as the team is growing and communicating, the players communicating with coaches, and obviously coaches working our tails off trying to tweak this thing to get, our best foot forward. One of the things that came out of it was, I don't think I was communicating with Lay as I was doing when they first got here. And I think Leja's understanding was, she has to communicate. We cannot have empty possessions. This was a game where we had people out of position multiple times, and Lay has to communicate during a possession, pointing for people. That's Lay's strength. Lay knows exactly what we're trying to get, where people are supposed to be. So I think Lay is just being herself. We talked about the leadership part, so from the very first day she stepped foot to be a Minnesota Lynx. They've given us that, communicating in timeouts, communicating with me. So I can't ask for anything more. And without Leja, there's no way we win this game today.
I didn't see it before the game, but do you still do that pregame conversation with the point guard like you used to do with Whalen?
I don't. No.
Any particular reason?
Just different group. I think this group has its own identity. Doesn't mean that Lay and I aren't talking. It was just something that, the Lindsay thing developed, right? And this, if you go back and you remember, there was a lot of superstitions around the reasons why that happened. And Lay was, or Lindsay was a big reason for a lot of our superstitions on this team. And so it kind of just came from something like that, and we just kept it. And one of the things I try not to do, I really, I've worked hard at this. I've now, we're 3-4 years removed from that group. This group is different, and not trying to be the same thing. I'm not the same to them in terms of, where they go to get certain things. We certainly communicate, but this group, I want them to have their own identity. I don't think that's important. We've tried to open up our minds to, different ways that things can happen with this team. It's a different journey. It certainly has been a very different journey.
We'll go last question to Cindy. Cindy, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Last game, Fowles had a stat line that only one other person had done in the history, and tonight she is all alone with her stat line. But what is her limit? What more can we say?
I hope she has no limit. This obviously, Kent joked about the minutes. We're at the place that we can't worry about minutes. Nobody else is. We're not worried about it. If Sil comes to me and says, Coach, I want to play less minutes, we'll talk about it. I want to win the game. Sil wants to
No,
win.
I didn't mean minute limits. I just meant her.
No, I just
overall
was
limit.
answering your
Okay.
question overall. There's no limit. So minutes, limits, no limits.
No limits?
Where I was going to go with that was that that we know that Sil's going to be on the floor, and she had to be. When you're playing against Cambage, there's not many teams successful unless you have someone like a Sylvia Fowles. That we are going to Sil's going to get the ball. Whether Sil. So I think you're going to see, when Sil's locked in and just giving everything she has. She'll need some time to rest. We'll give her the weekend off, and we'll get a little bit of work in before we go out to Phoenix. But Sil's not resting. I don't mean that you're suggesting that, but Sil very much wants to lead this team, and so again, I'm really, really fortunate to have someone like Sil believes in everything that we're doing. I thought her communication was really good. She had some frustrating moments. We got on her a little bit, and she just really collected herself very, very well. And just a freaking hell of a stat line. All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks, Coach.
Everybody have Fee with me?
Hey, Fee, we'll get started with questions from Kent. Kent, go ahead.
Effie, can you just talk about that front court battle tonight between you and Sil and Asia and Liz? I mean, it was just amazing. I mean, have you ever been involved in something quite like that?
Every time we play Vegas, they have, obviously some really good post players. So it's a battle every single time we play them. And we knew it was going to be that going in. So it was every bit of the battle that I anticipated, and it was exhausting. So I'm glad we came out with the win.
What do you say to your friend Asia after a game like that?
I just told her good job, and then we swapped jerseys and took a picture. She obviously had a good game, but she's beat us every time, so it's my turn to beat her once.
How were you guys able to regroup after the way regulation ended?
I think just knowing that if we do what we need to do, we would win the game. I think those 5 extra minutes really gave us the opportunity to, even though we were really tired, to play really good team defense and just continue on with what we were doing, making sure we weren't fouling, things like that.
Thank you.
Jace, go ahead.
Pete, does this feel like one of those kind of signature wins in the middle of the season that can really kind of define where the team goes?
Definitely, because Vegas was the top team on offense, especially. So we did some really good things on defense, and I think it shows that we are right there. Even though our record may not reflect it, and how we play sometimes doesn't reflect it, this really gives us confidence, saying that we're a good team, and we just need to stay not doing ups and downs, but stay on a high and continue to do what works for us.
Jack, go ahead.
Hey, Fee, it felt like when you and Asia matched up one-on-one in that third quarter, towards the end of it, and then in the fourth quarter too, that you really got the better of her. Number one, kind of what was your mindset really battling with her, trying to front her on defense and then steal her on offense? And then number two, did you guys have a bet on the game tonight? And if you did, how is that going to get settled?
We didn't have a bet on it, but we do have a podcast this coming week, so I'm sure we'll talk about it. But really, the key with Asia, she's such a good player. If she gets the ball, she's going to do dangerous things for us. So just trying to make sure that doesn't happen. So really trying to get around and making it as hard as possible for her to catch the ball, because like I said, once she does have it, it's kind of, not good for us. And
then obviously, Sil was as dominant as can be tonight. Her stat line has never been outputted in a WNBA game before. But it felt like Leisure really turned it on in some key moments for you tonight. What is it like to be on the floor with a player like her, when she really starts to find a rhythm and kind of control the game down the stretch?
It was awesome. And the things that Lay did for us, especially in, I think it was regulation or, overtime, were huge, because keeping the defense honest, because they're really packing the paint at that point and hitting those shots. It was just, a momentum changer for us. So it was great to see that.
Pat, go ahead.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, a lot of the dead ball situations. Leisure seemed to be doing a lot of talking, a lot of instructing, a lot of pointing, making sure people were in the right place. She hasn't been here that long. How does she was able to get a grasp of your offense that quickly to the point where she's confident enough to kind of put people in the right spots?
I think she's just a good point guard. She's confident in what we're doing. She's bought into our offense, and she knows that where we all need to be. So she's just really good at picking up plays. So she knows what we need to do. And like I said, she's a leader on the court for us. So her telling us, what we need to run or what we need to get is really helpful.
And so was just incredible again tonight. As you're just watching her battle with Liz, do you have an appreciation for what kind of shape that she's in and how tough a job that she's doing?
Oh my gosh, we talk about this all the time. I'm so in awe of her. I mean, especially 14 years in, it's unbelievable what she can do night after night. She is one of a kind. It's so fun to watch, and I'm so honored to be her teammate and be able to watch this day in and day out.
Jeff, go ahead.
Hey, Fee, how important is a game like this where you battle back in overtime is a confidence builder for the rest of the season?
It's a big confidence builder. I think, it shows us that when we do what we need to do, we can beat really good teams. They're a great team. And hopefully, this is the end of us going up and down, and we can just stay on a high with this.
Any last questions for Fee? Jack,
I got one last one, Corey. So it felt like in the first part of the season, you guys really struggled with entry passes, and Coach talked about that pregame that the biggest challenge for you guys tonight was going to be, whether or not you guys could make solid entry passes. Is that something that you guys have been working on, or why has that been something that's turned on more recently?
Yes, we work on it every single practice. So I'm glad it's transferring over to the games because it is something that we work on a lot. Obviously, we have some good close players on our team, so we want to be able to get them the ball. So it's really something that we've been focusing on.
Awesome. Thanks, Fee.
Thanks.
Thank you, Fee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
Hey, so congrats on a great game. We'll get started with questions from Kent. Kent, go ahead.
So just talk about that incredible battle between you and Fee and Asia and Liz that just went on from start to finish. What was it like being a part of that?
It was amazing. These are the games that we look forward to, especially when you got two bigs that's going to challenge you at both ends of the floor. I think we handled ourselves well. We kept our composure for the most part, and then we just went back at them. So it was a good competition.
How were you guys able to kind of get back on track after the way the regulation ended?
Mm-hmm. Just staying focused, knowing what we need to go to, limiting turnovers, trying to keep Vegas at the paint as much as possible because that's their bread and butter. And I think our girls stepped up to the plate and they just made plays happen at the end.
Jack, go ahead.
Hey, Sil, just how much fun is it for you to go back and forth, in such a physical game with players like Liz and Asia, especially when, like you said, you kept your composure and, on the other side, maybe didn't do that as well. How much fun is that for you to be a part of?
It's not fun in the moment. It's actually frustrating in the moment, but you always got to wind yourself back and just think about team because it's not about you. But in those moments, that's what makes you great. Your teammates try to keep you composed, try to get you to have a short memory. But at the end of the day, you always want a good battle between big bigs.
And then, you mentioned that it's not fun. So what types of things do you have to think about and kind of what's your mindset when, you and Fee are seemingly trying to seal on every single possession and front on every single possession? Kind of what's your mindset and how do you just stay, locked in and get every ounce of energy you have out of you?
First of all, you got to have short-term memory because things don't always go your way. So you got to think about next play or always thinking 2 steps ahead of your opponent. And I think Fee and I was gassed at one point, and we heard Cheryl and the coaches on the sideline talking about they need more, and we just looking at each other like, okay, you front, I got your red. So we was taking turns. I was like, I front, you got my red. And so stuff like that, is what you have to do to win games. And so I think down the stretch, we just was piggybacking off each other energy and making sure we be there for each other.
Pat, go ahead.
Yeah, so, I mean, you mentioned you might have been tired, but you played 40 minutes tonight. I mean,
Uh-huh.
what happened to this minutes limit that you're supposed to be under?
I think it's.
You're not supposed to play this much.
I think it sounded good when we first started, and then it got to the point where I didn't like Cheryl coming to practice and be like, "You're only gonna play this many minutes," or come into the games and be like, "You're gonna play this many minutes," and then it just got frustrating at that point. I'm like, when I'm tired, take me out. If I can go and you see that I can go, leave me in. And so it's just to the point where if she's doing good, we just gonna leave her in type thing. If she need to blow, we can call timeout.
Wanted to ask you one other thing about Leja, if I could. She hasn't been here all that long, but she seems to have gotten very quickly a really good grasp on the offense. There were a lot of dead ball situations tonight when she was doing a lot of pointing. She was doing a lot of explaining.
Right.
How does she manage to get such a grasp on the offense so fast that she's able to put people in the right places?
I think it's easy for Lay. She's a leader, point guard. She's a veteran, so she understands when and where the ball needs to go in crucial moments. She knows when she needs to shoot. I think she pretty much just take what the offense give her, and so it makes our flow that much easier. But she just come in and do her thing. We don't have to ask for much.
Okay, thanks, so.
We'll go Kent and then Michelle and then Jeff. Kent, go ahead.
And so 2 quick things. You talk about how tiring this must have been and how tired you were at times. If you could take me through that last possession where you were able to get to the miss that Lay had and tip it out, because it looked like you kind of gave kind of the last push that you maybe had in that game. And now you've scored 56 points with 33 rebounds in the last 2 games. Can you recall a better 2-game stretch in your career?
No, to start that question off. That's the challenge for me this year, to making sure that I can be consistent in multiple games in a short amount of time. And so just pushing myself through moments like this really helps. And what I was thinking the last possession, Liz, was big. I really didn't have good possession. So if I went to get the ball early, I knew I can tip it out. But I seen K-Mac on the other end. I just was hoping she paid attention. And so I went and took the risk.
Michelle, go ahead.
Yes, Sylvia, just looking at this line, I'm not sure you could get a better line for a center ever. I mean, that when you look at the things you're doing along with the points and rebounds that you used to, the block shots, the assists, the steals, has it been a really important thing to you? You feel like this year to impact every single aspect of the game?
That's been a goal of mine. I got really, really good young players around me. And so not thinking that I have to do it all and that I have help really helps as well. But they help me out a lot. They cut when they need to cut. They bring the offense to me when I need to score. They bring the defensive players to me when I need to block shots. And so they've been a big help of my success this year.
If I could follow up real quick, I was on the Aces call and Asia was saying she feels like you're as fit as any post player she's ever faced. And you said you were a little tired, but she said your fitness is something that makes it really hard to go against you. Can you kind of address that even at age 35, that you're still able to be that way?
I think it's more so of my strength. I have my moments where I have to think ahead and I'm slower. And so, and I'm totally fine with that. But I think she's piggybacking off just my strength. Yeah, I got tired at times, but mentally you have to push through those things. And tonight was the prime example of just pushing through to make sure we get this win at home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff, go ahead.
Hey, Sil, you mentioned a moment ago that you've got a lot of young teammates. How important is a game like this, overtime against a team like Las Vegas, to come out here with a win? Is this a big confidence booster for them?
Most definitely. I think starting the season off, I was more so of like, okay, let them figure it out type thing. And then as we went along, that was not working. And so they go as I go. And so when I bring that momentum and they follow. And so I'm just trying to figure it out slowly but surely. But this young team is amazing. And I can't think of how we're going to be once we get everything figured out and we clicking on all cylinders.
Kent, did you have one more?
I did not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sil.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, that will do it for post game today. I will get these materials sent out as soon as I can. If you need anything from us, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thanks, Corey.
No problem. Thanks, Jack.